Good morning, all of you. A very good morning to all of you. I hope you are doing well. Morning, Vinay. You keep guessing, Pradam. Morning, Sampada. Morning, Viresh. Morning, Mahavir. All right. So can anybody here summarize or tell us what we studied in last class? What did we study in last class? Morning, Sushmita. Nahi, Adesh. Why are you asking that? Yes. Right. So we were discussing yesterday, basically we had finished atomic radius number 10. We had seen the graphs of it, right? We had seen the graph used to decrease till which point it decreases? Till which atom it decreases? Yes, Chetna. Till which atom the atomic radii was decreasing? It was decreasing till iron, right? And then cobalt and nickel were having a same radii, constant value. Then copper and zinc atomic radii again increases, correct? So this is what we had discussed last class. So as I told you, it is easier to remember if you remember graph. If you try to understand that increasing, decreasing order, it is difficult, right? All right. So let's start then. Yes. So this is a recall test. Which of the following ion has smallest radii? Which of the following ion has smallest radii? Let me give you the option. Yes. So which of the following ion has the smallest radii? All right. So till now, few of you have voted. Take your time and do it fast. Sorry. Yes. So you have another 10 seconds for this. Yes. So we'll end this on a count of 3, 2, 1. Now. So we are ending this now. Yes. So which atom has the smallest radii? What do you feel? A and D options are same. Oh, got it. Then let us make it 6. It should not affect your answer though. Yes. Which atom has the smallest radii? Which atom has the smallest radii? Name the element. Which atom has the smallest radii? Nickel. Cobalt and nickel constant radii, almost. Nickel, right? So nickel has the smallest radii. So your answer will come out to be B. Correct? And I think most of you have voted for C. That is copper. So 3D10 4s1 is copper. 3D8 4s2 is nickel. 3D6 4s2 is iron. And this is manganese. So we had seen the graph. It decreases more till chromium, then it decreases less till iron. Then it becomes constant at cobalt and nickel, then it increases. So minimum radii will be for nickel. Correct? It will not matter which of the following has smallest radii. It will not matter. Whereas you should have understood iron should not be there, because if iron is there, it cannot be 4s2. It is for the atom. Question is for the atom. Because if iron is there, it cannot be 4s2. Iron में 4s2 will be removed. Correct? Even if you take iron also, Pritesh, your answer will not change. First thing is, it cannot be iron. All the configuration here do not represent iron. Why they do not represent iron? Because iron may you can never have 4s2 electron. How can you have 4s2 electron in iron? Right? So that iron part will not be there. So 4s2 will not be presented in iron. Right? So as soon as you write any ion, you first remove 4s2 electron. 4s electrons. Correct? Yes. So yeah. Yes, you are right, Ketan. Yeah, I hope it is clear. Let's move ahead and continue what we were discussing. So we were discussing ionization energy, right? We were discussing ionization energy. Yes, Pranav. Now, if you see this, what observations we have seen, right? So what observations do we see here is, there is a, as you, that is what we expected, right? First, let us see what was our expected graph. Our expected graph was ionization energy decreases till iron more. So it should increase iron more. Then after iron, it decreases less, right? So it should increase less till cobalt and nickel. Then copper and zinc, the atomic radii increases. So ionization energy should decrease. You should get this type of graph, correct? But what graph you are getting is, you are getting increasing graph till iron, but cobalt and nickel may decreases, right? That means we were saying there, the atomic radii was decreasing more till iron, then after iron, the decrease was very less, right? So we should say ionization energy should increase till iron. After iron, increase should be very less. You should get this type of graph. But what's happening here is ionization energy is decreasing instead. It is instead decreasing, right? And between nickel and copper, then we said till copper it should decrease. From nickel to copper, atomic radii increases. So ionization energy should decrease. But what's happening here? Ionization energy is increasing to copper, then increasing further to zinc. Correct? So what is the problematic part we are seeing here is this one. This cobalt, nickel and copper. This is the problematic part we are seeing, that after nickel, copper mate is increasing. Correct? So now if you see this, guys, you can zoom it on your screen. I want to show the both. That's why I want both the data. Now, if you see this carefully, observe the trend. If you observe the trend, right, the increase is very, very small initially. First two elements. Vanadium, chromium increase is very small. Then increase is abrupt in the case of manganese. Then it further increases till iron. Then it starts decreasing. But you should observe iron and cobalt. The decrease is not that much. Correct? So what would you conclude from it, right? So how would you conclude it is, see carefully, the same things which we were discussing. Can you tell me why it is not increasing after iron further? First reason, can you tell me why it is not increasing after iron? We'll go step by step. Okay? Why it is not increasing after iron? After iron, what is happening? Right? What's happening after iron? Very good, Adish. Electron starts pairing. Actually, electron starts pairing from manganese also, right? But you see the jump here. Jump here is more. But from manganese to iron also, jump is less than the previous jump. Then iron, after iron, the jump chodo, it starts decreasing. Why? So for that reason, what you would say is, see carefully, as you start pairing the electron, in iron the configuration is 3d6. In iron, your configuration of iron is 3d6, 4s2. So your electron starts pairing after this. So if electron starts pairing, what will happen? If electron starts pairing, what will happen? The effective nuclear charge, right? Electron starts pairing means repulsion will increase. And after iron here, we are saying here, the repulsive forces are quite dominant. You can say approximately equal to attractive force, right? So electron repulsion becomes a dominant factor. So what happens because of that? Because of that, force of attraction decreases. Force of attraction, which force of attraction? Force of attraction of nucleus on electron decreases. And if nucleus is not attracting the electron strongly, is it easier to remove the electron or not? Is it easier to remove the electron or not? If the electron is not attracted strongly by the nucleus, can we remove that electron easily? Yes. That means even if I supply small amount of energy, electron can be removed. Therefore, after iron, due to pairing of electron, pairing of electron starts from iron also, but the effective less at iron. After iron, due to pairing of electron starts, the attractive forces starts decreasing, due to which attractive forces decreases, or you can say effective nuclear charge also decreases. Both are correct. So as effective nuclear charge decreases, force of attraction decreases, it is easier to remove the electron. You have to supply less energy to remove the electron. You can say ionization energy decreases. Correct? Pairing starts from manganese also. That's what I said. But the effect is less. Right? Effect is less. So what you should observe here is, why manganese, pairing starts at manganese, that is fine. But why manganese has higher ionization energy? You should counter question. Is a pairing starts from manganese. Chromium is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chromium is 4s1. But manganese is 4s2. So pairing starts at manganese. Then why manganese has higher ionization energy if pairing starts at manganese? What's the reason you would give? What the reason you will get? No, Kushal, it's not that. No, Athar, it's not that. Electrons start pairing from manganese 4s also. What's the reason you would give? Why ionization energy is increased? You should understand one thing carefully. In manganese, 3d5 is half filled. What about 4s? 4s is full filled. Half filled and full filled configurations are stable. And if they are stable, their ionization energy should be what? more. Is that clear? So we are saying the following points. Manganese have, let us write here, manganese high ionization energy. Reason? Stable configuration. Correct? This is one point you observe. Now, you observe the decrease here from iron to nickel. There is a decrease. Why there is a decrease from iron to nickel? Instead of increasing, why there is a decrease from iron to nickel? So we are saying after iron, more electron pairs are there. More electron pair means electron-electron repulsion is more. And if electron-electron repulsion is more, attractive forces will decrease. Attractive force between nucleus and electron will decrease. So nucleus is held lightly or weakly, electron is held lightly or weakly by nucleus. So it is easier to remove the electron. Therefore, ionization energy decreases. Correct? So I have explained this section of the graph. Let me encircle it. This section of the graph we have discussed, and why manganese has high ionization energy we have discussed. Now let us come to this section of the graph. Your question should be, sir, from nickel to copper atomic radii increases, so ionization energy should decrease. But why from nickel to copper ionization energy decreases and copper to zinc it decreases, it increases even more? Yes, Ganesh. Very good. So you would say because copper has what configuration? 3d10, fulfilled D subshell. What about zinc? Fulfilled D, fulfilled S. Fulfilled configurations are stable, and if fulfilled configurations are stable, the ionization energy will be more. Correct? Is that clear, everyone? Is that clear, everyone? I would suggest you to remember the following points. First section of the graph, second section of the graph, where you absorb the normality in abnormality, third section of the graph. Correct? For nickel, so it is, Chandan, I did not get your point. What's the problem with nickel? Nickel does not have fulfilled, no? So it should decrease only. For nickel, it should decrease only. Yes, Vijay Lakshmi, you're right, but you should understand one thing here, ki why it increases from iron to manganese, right? So what you would say in that case is, why it increases is, see, you have only one electron pair here in D subshell, correct? You have one electron pair. So electron-electron repulsion is only due to one pair, correct? But after adding one atomic number, you are increasing the proton also. So force of attraction is also increasing. So you can say force of attraction is increased by 2, electron-electron repulsion is increased by 1. Effectively, there is a increase in force of attraction by 1, right? So effectively, there is an increase in force of attraction. That's why very small, that's why you can observe from manganese to iron, the jump is not that much as it was from chromium to manganese. 717, 759. The jump is not that much as it was from chromium to manganese. So now if this is 650 through 770, then this should be from 770 to 790 or 800. But the decrease here from 800 to 759 is due to electron-electron repulsion only. Correct? Is that clear, everyone? Nuclear charge is more dominating than repulsion. That depends upon where you are considering it. In D and F block, till the middle of the series, force of attraction dominates. Right? That means till manganese. From manganese to cobalt, I would say, their force of attraction is slightly dominant over force of repulsion. And before, force of attraction is very much dominant over force of repulsion. From cobalt to nickel, force of attraction is approximately equal to force of repulsion. After that, copper and zinc, force of repulsion is greater than force of attraction. This is how you consider throughout the series. Correct? Chromium exchange energy is more. Chromium exchange energy is more, but it does not affect. 4s electron will not exchange its position with 3d. Okay. Ionization energy is more means graph increases. No. Ionization energy is more means graph increases. Ionization is less means graph decreases. Athar, what are you talking about? Athar, chromium mein. Now, other thing which you guys should ask, sir, why there is a slight constant graph here? Why there is a slight constant graph here? Why we are not seeing much jump here? Right? Why we are not seeing much jump here? What reason can we give here? Right? So the reason which you would give here is, as you keep filling electrons in 3D, right? As you keep filling electrons in 3D, the effective nuclear charge, right? The effective nuclear charge initially increases. It increases, but it does not increase much. Why it does not increase much? Because you have added how many electrons? You have added 3 electron, 4 electron in D. You can take 3d5 also. Here you have added 2 electrons in D. So initially the number of electrons in D is not sufficient. It's not that much also. So the proton or atomic number does not increase that much. So you can say force of attraction is not increasing that much. But the moment you come to manganese, iron, all these, you are adding 5-6 electrons in the D subshell. So protons is also increasing. Right? So force of attraction will increase more. So therefore, initially, the increase is not that much, very constant, or in fact, there is a slight decrease from titanium to vanadium also. So this remains almost constant because initially very few number of electrons or protons you have added. So due to which force of attraction usually is not very high. Not very high. Correct? That's the reason you would give to explain this graph. Ideally, though, this graph is very difficult to explain, but logically you can explain it like this. Okay? In manganese and iron, manganese is more stable than iron. Obviously, manganese is more stable than iron. Then all of you have already asked, I have answered also, why iron is more than manganese? Because you are increasing the atomic number. As you increase the atomic number, obviously, force of attraction or effective nuclear charge increases. Right? With increase in atomic number of proton increases. And electrons are added in same shell. So force of attraction will increase. The increase will be less. Therefore, the increase in ionization energy will also be less. Correct? Is this graph in textbook? Yes, this graph is there in textbook also. This graph is there in textbook also. Correct? Titanium, vanadium, chromium mein. Acha, my only problem is you guys are learning it as a fresh. If you are learning it as a fresh, you are idiots. You need to correlate it. Until you don't correlate it, you will not understand anything out of it. Right? Why atomic radii decreases in a period? What do we say? We say left to right we move, we increase atomic number. As we increase atomic number, the effective nuclear charge increases, so size decreases. This is what we say, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Initially, from titanium to chromium, you are adding 2, 3, 4 electrons in D. So you are not increasing the protons, number of protons to that much extent also. Therefore, your increase in ionization energy is not that much. It is very less. But by the time you reach manganese, it is half-filled configuration. Therefore, it increases more. Correct? Right? Or you can say D subshell electrons do not increase the effective nuclear charge that much. Correct? So since the increase is not that much in number of proton, so Z effective or effective nuclear charge does not increase that much. So it remains almost constant. By the time it reaches manganese, it shoots up because of half-filled and full-filled configuration. Then iron may increase is less. But the question is why there is an increase? Because we have increased the number of proton. Right? Then you should ask, sir, here also we are increasing proton. Here why it is not increased much? because here you are adding 2 protons. Here you have 6 protons of iron in d subshell, correct? Or you can say here the number of protons are less, here number of protons are more. So here effective nuclear charge or force of attraction will be more, correct? This is how you will explain it, right? And after that, repulsive forces starts coming into the picture, therefore it starts decreasing. And copper fulfilled, zinc fulfilled, it stabilizes, correct? So this is how you can explain it. Rohit beta, I have already explained this, Rohit. We have done lot of questions also on this. Scandium is a transition element. Rohit, what is the definition of transition element? Anything which has partially filled d subshell. Zinc has completely filled d subshell, therefore it is not transition element. Scandium has 1 electron in d, therefore it is a transition element. It has partially filled d subshell, right? So let's move ahead. I hope it is clear. There is only one way of remembering it, is in a form of a graph, correct? All right. Let's move ahead. If you go for second ionization energy, for second ionization energy, graph is pretty simple. The graph is very simple. It will increase till iron. Ionization energy 2 graph. It will increase till iron. Then from iron to nickel, increase will be very less. From nickel to copper, it will increase, and zinc also it will increase. The second ionization energy graph will not be this random. There will not be so many peaks, ups and downs. The second ionization energy graph will be simple. So there is not much abnormalities in a second ionization energy graph. You will get a constant. First, there will be a constant increase. You will get like this. Then zinc and copper, mein again it will increase. You will get a graph like this. Second ionization energy graph. Okay. So in second ionization energy graph, the increase will be very not much, right? So chromium second ionization energy will be very high. Then manganese, because second electron has to be removed from half filled, you will get something like this. Then again it will increase. Then increase will be more. The graph will be like this, right? Now, if you see this, let us plot it. Let us plot a rough graph. Let us plot a rough graph for second ionization energy also. Let's plot a rough graph for second ionization energy. Ionization energy 2 versus transition metals. So you can start from scandium or titanium. As you keep on increasing, let's say that you have scandium here, titanium here, vanadium here, chromium here. From chromium to manganese, there will be a slight decrease in the graph. Why? Because chromium is 3d5-4s1. After removing first electron, you have to remove your second electron from 3d5, which is half it. So from chromium to manganese, there will be a slight decrease. Then from manganese to iron, this will be, manganese is 3d5-4s2. So you can remove 2 electrons. Then from iron, it will start increasing. Cobalt, nickel, copper. Then copper to zinc, there will be a slight decrease, because copper also you have to remove the electron from. Copper is 3d10-4s1. First electron will be removed from 4s. Second electron will be removed from 3d10, which is fulfilled. Correct? So this is how the graph will look like. This is the second ionization energy graph, which will have less hiccups, which will have less abnormalities. This is how your second ionization energy graph will look like. Right? Is that clear, everyone? This is in kilojoule per mole. Let's say. Is that clear? Now, where exact position will be, that you need to refer the textbook. Whether it will lie here or here, we can just see whether it is increasing or decreasing. That graph only we can get. We can't get to know whether zinc is more than chromium, less than nickel. That is difficult to predict from the graph. Okay? Is that clear, everyone? Beta, Athar, 3 times I have summarized the whole graph. You are asking me again to summarize. What is this? I have summarized the whole graph 3 times. First, ionization energy does not increase as much because number of proton does not increase much. So effective nuclear charge does not increase much. Force of attraction does not increase much. Therefore, it does not change much. It increases from to manganese. Why it increases to manganese? Half-filled, stable configuration. Iron, it increases less. Why it increases less? Because electron starts pairing, repulsive forces comes into the picture. But since the effective nuclear charge increases more than repulsive, therefore ionization energy increases slightly. Then it starts decreasing because here repulsive forces are more than attractive forces. Since the attractive forces are less, ionization energy will decrease. Then it starts increasing again to copper and zinc because of full filled configuration. Correct? Is that clear, everyone? So this is how it will look like. I hope it is clear. Right. Yeah. Now let's try to solve some questions on it. Which 2 elements have the value of second ionization enthalpy more than those of their neighboring elements? Zinc is also a transition element? No, zinc is not a transition element. Zinc is not a transition element, it is a D block element. We do not consider zinc as a transition element. We do not consider zinc as a transition element in the periodic table. Let us give the options. At least till your textbook level, we don't consider. Yes. So which 2 elements have the value of second ionization enthalpy more than their neighboring elements? Yes, this is an easy one. Yes, Chirag, you're right. Ankita, you're also right. Ravi, Kiran, Anirudh. All right. So you will get another 15 seconds for this. We'll end it in 15 seconds. Yes, so we are going to end this on account of 3, 2, 1 now. So let's end it now. Yes. So as you can see from the graph, chromium has more ionization energy than its neighboring elements. Copper also has more ionization energy than its neighboring elements. So your answer will be copper and chromium, which most of you have answered correctly. Right. So the correct answer is B indeed. Yeah. Now try this one. Try this one. Which of the following has the highest ionization enthalpy? Atomic number of vanadium, chromium, manganese, and iron are given. This is such an easy question you can ever get. Which of the following has highest second ionization enthalpy? This is such an easy question you can get. So now that's what, when you see these questions, they become easy because you remember the graph. Yeah, peak pe who was there at the peak, who was there at the bottom. At least that thing becomes easy. Who was there at the peak, who was there at the bottom. But the moment you try to go order, you get confused. Yes, Ankita. Let's try to wind it up in another 5 seconds. All right. So let's end it on a count of 3, 2, 1, now. Right. So you need not check many things. It becomes an easy question. Peak is for chromium among vanadium, chromium, manganese and iron. Who has the peak? Chromium occupies the peak. Correct? So your answer is chromium indeed. Right? I hope it is clear, but I would suggest you to go home. Not go home, you are already in home. So take your textbooks in home, draw the graph yourself. That's the best practice you can do. After drawing the graph, you match it on the y-axis and check who is having maximum. So obviously, if somebody asks you the maximum is for copper. Copper has the maximum second ionization energy. Second ionization energy is maximum for copper. First ionization energy is maximum for zinc. Right? You can check the value here. It's maximum for zinc. So try to first ionization energy ka order I have already given you. Correct? Second ionization energy ka you plot from the graph and check who has the maximum. Correct? Iron is more than copper, is it? That I have also drawn like that only. It might happen. We need to verify it from the values from the textbook. We have not drawn the graph to the scale. If you draw the graph to the scale, you'll understand it better. We need the exact values of the graph to plot it. Then your answer will be, we need to check it from the graph, guys. We need to check it from the graph. Second ionization energy might be maximum for iron among these four. Because see, when we are plotting it here also, if you see the graph, in my graph also it is coming more only. Right? But that's what I was trying to tell you. When you sit with this graph in the textbook, you do the following. Plot these parallel x-axis and then you check which has the maximum. As I see here, the order should come out to be something like this. Copper should be maximum. Then it should be zinc, nickel, cobalt, iron. It should come like this. Chromium, manganese, vanadium. It should be similar to this. Scandium. Okay? So it should be like this. Right? Now if you check this, let's check the values of ionization energy. Second ionization energy. 1235, 1310, 1414. Chromium is 1592. No man, iron is less. That's what. Iron is less. Chromium is 1592 and iron is 1561. Iron is 1561. So in these four, chromium is coming out to be more. Right? But still, I would suggest you, the table is fine, but you refer the textbook graph. Because textbook is the source you can challenge. Right? This I have taken, this table I have taken online data. So it might be right here and there. But what I would suggest you is do this practice from the graph. Right? Logically also chromium should be more. I understand that. But check this value from the graph. For now, we'll keep our answer as chromium based on the values. We'll keep our answer as chromium. We'll keep our answer as chromium based on the value for now. Right? The value is 1592. Okay? Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. We will check the value from the graph of the textbook also if they are given the value in the textbook. Okay? We'll check the value of the ionization energy from the textbook. Because the answer key also, which the question ka answer key also has given chromium as the answer. That's why I'm keeping chromium as the answer. Because chromium is 1592, iron is 1561. Okay? So for now, let's keep chromium. We'll check the values if it is given in textbook. then we will refer the textbook data. ठीक है? I didn't see the textbook yet. I need to verify from the textbook. Answer should be chromium based on our data. We'll verify once from the textbook also. Textbook may be same hai, then so it's sorted. Then you need to correct your order. Then you replace it. Then now the problem will be which version of textbook you have. Then the problem will be which version of textbook you have. Okay, some people will be having different textbook, so they will show me some other image. Some of you will show me some other image. That's why. Okay. So some of you are messaging, sir, textbook mein this is more. Some of you are saying, sir, textbook mein this is more, because you are having different versions of textbook. Correct? Chal. Anyways, for now, I am not referring the values which you are telling. I am answering the question based on my value which I have taken here. That is 1592 and 1561. Okay? So that's enough for ionization energy. I think we should move ahead. Right? Previous slide, please. Which previous slide? Vallabh? Which one? If answer is chromium in textbook, then good. We'll make it chromium only. Yes, Vallabh, which one? Vallabh, graph of second ionization. It will be like this. Okay. So let's move ahead to our next property, that is oxidation state. The most important property about transition elements or D block elements is oxidation state. Let us see one important thing. We will write a statement. Transition elements show variable oxidation state. Variable oxidation state. Right? Why do they show variable oxidation state? Why transition elements can show variable oxidation state? So the answer to that would be, see carefully. The energy gap between 4s and 3d subshell. The energy gap between 4s, acha, I would ask you, what is the valency group 13 elements can show? Let me first ask you. Group 13 elements can show what valency? First, let us correlate it. Group 13 elements have the general electronic configuration of NH2 and P1. So, what valency they can show? Very good, Pritesh. They can show the valency of, if they lose only NP1 electron participate in bonding, then +1. If NH2 also participates in bonding, then +3. This is what we used to say. They can show +1 as well as +3. Correct? Isn't it? They can show +1 and +3. Is it true or not? Right? So why they can show +1 and +3 both? Because the energy gap between NH2 and NP1 is very less. So both these orbital electrons can participate in bonding. Similarly, your 4s and 3d energy gap is very less. Right? And since the energy gap is less, the electron of 4s as well as 3d can participate in bonding. Correct? So, energy gap between 3d and 4s is less. So, both subshell electron participate in bonding. Right? Therefore, they can show more than one oxidation state. Correct? So, this is the reason why they can show more than one oxidation state. For example, manganese. Manganese can show +2, +3, +4, +7. It can even show fractional oxidation state. So manganese can show variable oxidation state. Why? Why manganese can show variable oxidation state? See this carefully. If it loses only 4s electrons, then it will show +2. Correct? If it loses this, then it can show +3, +4. Then it can show, if it loses 5 + 2 all, then +7. Correct? It can show +7 also. Right? So this is how it can show more than one oxidation state using 4s and 3d electrons. Now the answer here, problem here is, can you explain why it shows fractional here, how it shows fractional here? Why there is a fractional oxidation state? Because there is no fractional number of electrons here. If there is no fractional number of electrons, how can it show fractional oxidation state? How can it show fractional oxidation state? The answer of this lies in solid state. The answer of this lies in solid state. The answer of this lies in solid state. Mn3O4 can be written as MnO and Mn2O3 ka mixture. Correct? That means it contains +2 and +3 both. Right? It contains +2 and +3 both. So if you take the average of +2 and +3, it comes out to 8/3. Is that clear? So this is how it can show more than one oxidation state. These are called mixed oxides. I think we have discussed it also. AB2O4, where +2, +3 were there, +3 goes to octahedral, +2 goes to tetrahedral. We have discussed all this in solid state. I did not understand your point, Adesh, which topic, which example you are talking about. Yes, is this clear, everyone? Why transition elements show oxidation, variable oxidation state? Is this question clear or not? Why transition elements show variable oxidation state? Because the energy gap between 4s and 3d is very less. So both these orbital electrons participate in bonding. Is that point clear, everyone? How it shows +7, +2, +5. If all of them participate in bonding, then +7. It can show +7. Athar. Repeat group 13 part. Group 13, so you should know, Vasan. P block. So in group 13, we used to say, if NP1 electron participate in bonding, it shows +1. If both the electrons participate in bonding, it will lose 3 electrons and it shows +3. Correct? So it can participate. Manganese can get this electron excited, na? What's the problem? This 4s electron can be excited to the next cell, 4p. You excite it to the next cell, 4p. Then you have 7 unpaired electrons. Usme kya hai? Beta Athar, I answered that S electron can be excited to 4p and then it can participate in bonding. Okay? What is there after so? So both, sorry, it is both. Both subshell electron participate in bonding. 3d and 4s subshell electron participate in bonding. Athar, what comes after 4s? 3p or 4p? Athar, what comes after 4s? 3p or 4p? Then why will you excite them to 4d? If you excite them, it will not get unpaired. Right? Okay, Adesh has asked. It will go to 4p, Adesh. Right? Any doubt in this? Anyone? Why they show variable oxidation state? Anyone? We are going to see now which oxidation state is shown by which element. Alright. So now here is the list of oxidation state shown by different elements. Right? So you can see here, depending upon how many electrons participate in bonding, they can show variable oxidation state. Correct? Now, the important thing you should observe, the highlighting points, we'll come to that in the next slide anyways. So now you see here, the question is, why scandium shows only +3? Why? There are only two elements which show only one oxidation state. What are those two elements? What are those two elements? Why scandium and zinc don't show variable oxidation state? Don't show variable oxidation state. What are those two elements? Scandium and zinc. Why they do not show? Simple reason. Write down the electronic configuration of scandium. It is 3d1 4s2. Correct? Now, see this. These two electrons will anyways participate in bonding. Correct? Now, if you remove these two electrons, 3d1 will not remain as it is. Getting a point? 3d1 will not remain as it is. Why? You should have counter question. Sir, why it can show +2? Why it cannot show +2? Sir, if you remove these two electrons, it can show +2. Why it will not show +2? It can show +2. Because as soon as it loses 4s2 electron, 3d electron will be lost very easily. Or you can say scandium +2 is highly unstable. Why it is highly unstable? 3d1 electron. Why it is highly unstable? Because it will lose this electron to form scandium +3, which has 3s2 3p6 full-filled configuration. So it will lose the 3d electron because after losing that one electron, only one electron you have to lose, right? So you are just one step closer to victory. You'll definitely take any risk, correct? So one electron it will lose easily to become fulfilled, therefore it shows +3. Is that clear? Or you can say +3 is more stable for scandium, right? All right. Now if you see this carefully, just a minute. Yeah. Now why zinc don't show? Because zinc may all electrons are paired. They cannot participate in bonding. Only unpaired electrons will participate in bonding. So these 4s2 electrons can be removed easily. They are the outermost electrons. So if these two electrons are removed, if only 4s2 electrons are removed, they will show +2. The 4 3d6 electrons are paired. Therefore, do not participate in bonding. Unpaired electron will only participate in bonding. So therefore, zinc shows only +2 oxidation state. Therefore, zinc shows only +2 oxidation state. Right? Yes. Is that clear, everyone? Is that clear, everyone? Why can copper show +2? We'll come to that, Ravi Kiran. Just give me a time. We'll come to that again. Yes. Is that clear, everyone? It can't excite to other. See, the point here is this is fulfilled. It is stable. If you want to excite this electron, you have to supply a lot of energy. You have to supply a lot of energy, which is not easy to provide. Therefore, these paired electrons do not participate in bonding. Is that clear, Vijay Kumar? Why can't it show +1? Why will it show +1, man? It can. Why will it show +1? Because after losing one electron, is it becoming stable? No. After losing two electrons, it becomes fulfilled. So it will be stable. Why will it lose one electron? After losing one electron, it will be highly unstable. Zinc +1 is highly unstable. Zinc +1 is highly unstable. 4s1 electron. It will immediately lose this electron to form Zn+2. Why? Zn+2 has fulfilled configuration. Right?
Repeat scandium. Scandium may, what I said was, you remove 2 electrons, you will get scandium plus 2. But scandium plus 2 will have 1 electron in 3D. And I said it will be highly unstable. Why it will be highly unstable? Because after losing this electron, it forms scandium plus 3, which is 3s2 3p6 full-filled configuration. So after losing one 3D electron, it becomes stable, right? So that's why it will lose that electron easily, correct? So therefore, from scandium to scandium plus 2, scandium plus 3, scandium to scandium plus 2, scandium plus 3, this is highly unstable. Therefore, scandium directly gets converted to scandium plus 3. It is highly unstable because 3D 1 electron, if it lose, it will get 3s2 3p6, which is fulfilled. Scandium plus 3 is stable due to fulfilled configuration. Is that clear, Sanjana? I said, I did not say scandium plus 2 does not exist. I said it is highly unstable. There is a difference between the two things. Correct? If we somehow provide to excite the electrons, yes. If you provide that much energy, it will get excited. But normal conditions, we assume they are inert. You can make anything react if you supply tremendous amount of energy. Right? We don't consider we don't provide worst reaction reactions. Na? Who will provide money for that, Kirtan? Why cannot one electron of scandium bond with other rather than losing 3? Athar, this is Athar, some Athar A, I think. Beta, it does not mean it is losing 3 electrons, right? First of all, you should understand it is going to form ionic compounds. It's a metal. So why will it share electron? You should understand that first. Why will it share electron, right? Will chromium show +1? Chromium does not show +1. It should, but it does not show, right? Chromium does not show because chromium does not show. Why chromium does not show +1 generally is, we need to check that thing. We can say that way that chromium is 3d4 4s2. It becomes 3d5 4s1. Originally it is 3d4 4s2, so it will lose 2 electrons easily, right? But that does not happen in copper. Copper is 3d10 4s1. It should have been 3d9 4s2. So copper should also lose 2 electrons, but there is a difference. Here you have full filled. In chromium you have half filled. Full filled is more stable than half filled. Therefore chromium can lose 2 electrons, but copper cannot because copper is full filled. Chromium is half filled. Okay? Relatively. All right. Why loses +2? I did not understand whom you are asking about, Ravi Kiran. I did not understand 5% of your question also. Chalo. Let's move ahead. Now here what we have done is, we have mentioned the stable oxidation state for all the transition elements, right? So all the transition element, stable oxidation state is +2. Their stable oxidation state is +2, correct? Now, for other than +2, scandium ke liye stable is +3. Titanium can show stable state, oxidation state of +4, +5, +6, +7, right? So these are, for these elements, these oxidation states are also stable. But for all of them, +2 is more stable, right? And for copper, +1 is also stable. So these are the oxidation states which are more stable than other elements, right? Now, if you check this, see this carefully. See this carefully. Iron may, if you write its electronic configuration, 3d6, 4s2. So you have six electrons here, 2 electrons here. Now you see here, these 2 electrons can be excited and unpaired. But these 3D electrons cannot be excited and unpaired because they lie inner. These are outermost electrons. They can be excited, but it is difficult to excite these electrons, right? So therefore, these 4 electrons can participate in bonding. These 2 electrons can participate in bonding. It can show +6, but these 2 cannot participate. Therefore, it cannot show +8. So iron can show +6, but it cannot show +8. So it can show +6, but it cannot show +8. Correct? Chetna, I am going to answer it later. Let me finish this first, right? So you should understand, apart from +2, these oxidation states are also stable for these elements. There's no rocket science here. Iron, manganese is 3d5 4s2. So after losing these 7 electrons, it becomes 3s2 3p6, which is fulfilled configuration. Therefore, +7 is stable. Similarly, chromium after losing 6 electron will become fulfilled configuration. Therefore, it is stable. So all these elements are stable because after losing these many electrons, they becomes fulfilled stable configuration. They acquire fulfilled stable electronic configuration. Correct? Now, right. So let's means +8 is possible if we supply large amount of energy. How much large amount of energy will you supply? That's the question. Right? Under normal conditions, reaction conditions, it is not possible. Why +2 is stable for these? +2 is stable for these for the reason that for all of them, +2 is stable because all of them have outermost electron as 2. For all of them, 4s2 is the outermost electron. So after losing 2 electrons, they lose the outermost electron, right? So last shell has 2 electrons. So if last shell has 2 electrons, it is easy to remove the last shell electrons. So all of them can easily lose 2 electrons, correct? Is that clear? So for all of them except scandium, +2 is more stable, right? Now let us come back. To see. I am seeing this. Many of you are shouting like hell on one question. Despite of saying the fact, I will explain it later, but still you are becoming restless and making me also impatient. So I will answer it now only, so that you people don't keep bugging about the same question. You are asking continuously, sir, how copper can show +2? I will answer it. Wait now. Copper can show +1 as well as +2. How? Copper is 3d10, 4s1. After losing 1 electron, ionization energy 1, it becomes 3d10, fulfilled. So ideally, it should not lose another electron from copper to plus, because your second ionization energy should be very high. Correct? This is what all of you want to know. Correct? So it is very, very high. I understand that it is very high. But you should also understand copper 2 plus does not exist like this. Copper 2 plus exists only in aqueous solution. Only in solution. It's a textbook question. You can read it in textbook. Copper 2 plus exists in solution only. Why in solution? Its ionization energy is high. Let us say to remove this electron, you require 20 kilojoule energy. Let us say second ionization energy. But when you kept copper plus in water, when you kept it in water, when you treated it in water, when you treat an ion in water, what happens? When you put an ion in water, what happens? What principle take place? When you put an ion in water, what principle take place? What will happen? Dielectric effect. Oh my God. Hydration will take place. So due to hydration, what will happen? Hydration energy is released. Now the hydration energy which is released will be minus 40 kilojoule. Now you require 20 kilojoule to remove the second electron. But from hydration, how much energy is released? 40 kilojoule. So out of this 40 kilojoule energy, 20 kilojoule energy is used to remove the second electron, right? So due to hydration, the hydration energy is released very high, which is able to provide the second high ionization energy of copper, correct? So second high ionization energy of copper is compensated by hydration energy. Is that clear? Therefore, copper plus 2 can exist in solution. Arey yaar, I have taken random number. Now don't keep saying, sir, this should not be 20 kilojoule, this should not be 40 kilojoule. If I take X and Y, will you understand? If I take X and Y, will you understand? Yes, Athar. If I take X and Y, will you understand? Okay. For your deep understanding, let me write these numbers. Numbers here are arbitrarily or randomly taken. For your deep understanding, let me write it. Otherwise, it will become a burden for you. You will not be able to digest it. Correct? So, is that clear now why copper plus 2 exists in solution only? Yes. Is this point clear, everyone? Any doubt in this, please ask. I was knowing if I don't move ahead, you'll keep bugging me with the same question. At least 20 chats with the same question people have asked. Though I'm going to answer it later. The problem is I won't hesitate to clear your doubts. Everything will come at a particular point of time. If you keep bugging that point of time, same thing. If I'm not answering, there's a reason why I'm not answering. Because it will come later. If you try to force me to answer it at that time, what will happen is you'll lose something which I want to tell at that slide. You'll lose out on some information. Correct? That's the problem you'll feel if I deviate my mind to your questions. Okay? Now, if all our ions have filled the orbital. I did not understand your question, Danush. Yes, any doubt in this slide, anyone? Yes, any doubt in this slide and this slide? Stable configuration is +2. Apart from +2, these configurations are also stable. Yes, any doubt in these two guys? Please ask quickly. Right. Now, oxidation state depends upon what factors? It depends upon whether you get D0 configuration, D5 or D10. If you get any of these configurations, oxidation state will be stable. Right? For example, if you take titanium +4, titanium +4 is more stable than titanium +3. Why D0 is stable? Because before D0, you have 3s2 3p6, which is fulfilled. So do not think D0 empty is also stable. So 3s2 3p6 will be filled. So titanium +4, they can ask, titanium +4 is more stable than titanium +3. Why? You will say, sir, titanium is 3d2, 4s2 is titanium. After losing 4 electrons, titanium +4 gets 3d0, which is 3s2 3p6, fulfilled configuration. Therefore, it is more stable than titanium +3. Similarly, they can ask, Mn +2 is more stable than Mn +4 because Mn is 3d5, 4s2. So after losing 2 electrons, it will become 3d5, which is half filled. And half filled configurations are stable. Therefore, +2 is more stable than +4. Correct? Right? Yes. Is there any doubt in this? D6 is there in the pic. I don't see D6 anywhere. Ganesh, I don't see D6. Atharv, it is D2 only. Where I wrote D6? Where I wrote D6? In boxes. Acha, यहाँ पे. यहाँ पे you can say. This will not be there. Atharv, it is 3D2 beta. Go home and check. Atharv, it is 3D2. Go home and check. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, Atharv, it is 3D2. Right? Siddharth, I have already explained beta. Right. So let's do one question and end this. Which of the following configuration of atom get highest oxidation state? Which of the following configuration can show highest oxidation state? Which of the following can show the highest oxidation state? Which of the following can show the highest oxidation state? Highest means +7 is the highest. +8 do not exist. +8 iron may don't exist. We have seen that. +7 is the maximum oxidation state shown. There should be no confusion in this. All right, so last 10 seconds. Yes, so let's end it on a count of 3, 2, 1, now. Right, so you already saw the maximum oxidation state was shown by manganese. Manganese shows maximum oxidation state. And what is the configuration of manganese? 3d5 4s2. So your answer will be N-1, that is 3d5 4s2. So the correct answer will be A. Correct? The correct answer will be A. I hope those who have answered B and C got it right. Correct? So let's take today's quiz and end the class. So today's quiz is for biology students. Yeah. You have to identify the person. The person rushed to the Eagle pub at the uneventful day in February 1953 and remarked by saying, "We have discovered the secret of life." What X was referring, and identify him. I can give you a hint. He is a famous person in biology. So bio students must be knowing about him. Should know about him. So we have discovered the secret of life. We have not discovered the fundamental of life. We have discovered the secret of life. Yes, all of you have, almost many of you have got it right. Matlab not exactly right, at least close. You guys are close. So you guys are almost close. Yeah. This was Francis Crick, and he was referring to discovering the structure of DNA. He said he has discovered the structure of DNA, and he made this announcement in this event only, that I have discovered the structure of DNA. Right? This was in 1953. What is the answer of last question, Jyoti? It was A. Jyoti, the answer of last question was A. I think I have marked and discussed the answer also. Jyoti, it is A. It is manganese. Manganese has +7 oxidation state. Manganese shows +7 oxidation state, which is the maximum possible, right? Which is the maximum possible. You can see here, manganese can show maximum possible oxidation state of +7. Correct? All right. That's all. What is the weightage of this chapter, right? So, if you talk about CET, there are 2 questions. NEET में 1 question definitely. JEE may or may not be 1 question, not sure, because coordination के साथ they can mix it. And if you come to your PUC I'll verify, most likely it is 5 marks. ठीक है? चलो. All right. That's all. Thank you, Adesh. Thank you, Ganesh. No. That distribution I have to check. I will let you know that tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll let you know. I'll discuss in class. Don't worry. I'll discuss. In fact, I have discussed a lot of 1 mark. There will be 1 mark question from this. That I have discussed many 1 mark questions in this chapter also. Right? There will be 1 3 mark question on lanthanide contraction. That all I'll discuss. Don't worry. Okay? No, you cannot remove directly electron from 3D subshell. Can directly remove? No, you cannot remove directly. First, you have to remove electron from 4s because 4s is your outermost shell. Then only you can remove electron from 3D. Okay? Thank you, Basavaraj. All right, that's all for today. Thank you all. Thank you, Chandrika.